So like I told you in class, I am not liking the way this textbook is approaching linear equations, so we're going to do it my way because I get to do that since I'm the teacher. You need to make sure you have your worksheets I gave you because you're going to have to fill in some things on that sheet straight from this lecture. Let me know if you have any questions. So you're going to be given a set of equations connected with this little parenthesis thing, a little squiggly parenthesis. And our goal is to solve for x and y. We know that they're connected. These two lines are correlated by that little squiggly that's not a paragraph, squiggly parenthesis. And again, we're solving the point at which they intersect. There's several methods to use. This method, we're going to do a lot of steps, and it's really easy to get bogged down in this. This is my least favorite way to solve systems of equations. For most people, they like this way better, but I don't like it as much. But it's, from most people's perspectives, easier than the other one, so that's why we're doing it first. Step 1, solve one equation for x or y. It does not matter which equation you use. It doesn't matter if you solve for x or y. You just need to rearrange one of these equations to either x equals or y equals. So I've gone ahead and typed this up, and I chose to take the second equation, or the bottom equation, and rearrange it to x equals form. So I took this 3y and I moved it over, minus 3y. I took my minus 5 and moved it over to plus 5. So all of the pieces are still here. I just have it in x equals form. And this is why this method is called substitution, because what I'm going to do is I am going to take that value, x equals all of this, and I'm going to plug that value into the other equation for x. So the top equation says 2x plus y minus 5 equals 0. The bottom equation I have solved for x, so I'm going to take all of that, negative 3y plus 5, and put it in for my x. So what I now have is, hold on, let me get my pen working here. Where did it go? Here we go. 2x, remember we're not going to use x anymore, we're going to use this value, 2x plus y minus 5 equals 0, plus y minus 5 equals 0. All I've done is I've substituted the value that I solved for x into the other equation. So 2x plus y minus 5, and I've just replaced the x value for what I've found. Then I'm going to just solve that for y. And you guys all know how to solve for x. Some of you are slower than others. I've already done this on here, and I've already typed it because it takes so much space when I handwrite it. Step 1 is to distribute this 2 out. 2 times negative 3y is negative 6y. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus y minus 5 equals 0. So I've distributed things first. Now I'm going to add my like terms. So negative 6y plus y gives me negative 5y. 10 minus 5 is 5 equals 0. Now I'm going to move my 5 over, so I have negative 5y equals negative 5. Now I'm going to move this negative 5 over, and since I'm multiplying it on the left, I'm going to divide by the right. Remember, the sign does not change, only the operation. So y equals negative 5 divided by negative 5, which means y equals 1. There's the first half. Technically, it's more than half of the work, but it's the first half. So let's go on to the next sections of stuff here and see what we're going to do next. So now I'm going to plug that value in and solve for the other variable. So since we have a new slide up here, let's remember, here's where we were. We solved that bottom equation for x. We plugged it in. When we did that, we solved for y. We got y equals 1. All right? Now we're going to take this value for y. Our job is to now solve for x. So I'm going to just replace this y with the value that I just solved. So x equals negative 3 times 1. Negative 3 times 1 plus 5. And I just solved that equation. X equals negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. X is 2. Now remember, we're solving for a coordinate. We're solving for the point at which those two lines intersect. So I have to put it in coordinate forms, which is xy, so 2, 1. Lots of steps. It's easy to get bogged down in them. Just take one piece at a time. Okay, the first thing on your paper for this lesson is to write the steps down. I had them as I was just doing those problems, but in case you didn't get them written down, here they all are in one spot. So write that on your paperwork, pause the video, get it all written down, and then come back. So let's look at another example, okay? So here's the system of equations we're given. We're told to solve for x and y. We're going to use the substitution method. Now later, when you have learned the other methods, whichever one you like the best, unless it specifies which one to use whichever one you like, okay? But for right now, this lesson is about substitution, so we're going to solve it this way. So step 1 is to take either one of those equations and manipulate it or rearrange it until x equals or y equals. Now, I need to sort of think for a minute here. If I rearrange that bottom equation, there's not an x or a y by itself. If I solve the bottom equation for x, I have to get rid of that 3. If I solve the bottom equation for y, I'm going to have to divide everything by that 2. So what I always do is look for an equation that has an x or a y by itself. Well, here's an x all by itself. So I'm going to take my top equation and solve it for x, which means I need to move my plus 4y over and I need to move my plus 1 over. And when I do that, I get x equals negative 4y minus 1. And I'm not touching my bottom equation. It's going to stay just like it is. So step 1 was to solve one of those equations for x or y. I chose to solve for x. Step 2 was to take what I just solved and plug it into the other equation. So x equals negative 4y minus 1. I'm going to plug that into the other equation for x. So 3x plus 2y equals 7, and here's what I plugged in for my x value. And now I'm going to just solve this, which means I need to distribute my 3 in. 3 times negative 4, 3 times negative 4y, I'm sorry, and 3 times negative 1. That's going to give me negative 12y. Negative 3 times negative 4 is negative 12y. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Then I still have my plus 2y equals 7. Now I need to add any like terms, and I have a negative 12y and a 2y. That gives me negative 10y. I'm not touching the negative 3. I'm not touching the equal 7, so they stay right there. Now I need to move my negative 3 over. When I do that, it becomes a plus 3, and 7 plus 3 is 10. So negative 10y equals 10. Now I got to move my negative 10 over because I'm multiplying here. I divide here. 10 divided by negative 10 is negative 1. So there's my first part. Not my first step. My first part is to solve for that variable. Now I'm going to take that variable value, plug it in right here to solve for x. X equals negative 4 times y minus 1. I now know my value for y. I'm going to plug it in. So x equals negative 4 times negative 1 minus 1. And now I just solved that. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. X equals 4 minus 1, so x equals 3. And because I'm solving for a point, my answer has to be in x, y format. All right? So on your worksheet, you have a place for problem number 1, and you only have one problem. We're going to do like this. But what I want you to do is I want you to write this problem down, and I want you to try it, see if you can do it by yourself. And I want you to text me the answer for part of your grade. If it's wrong, I can help you from a text message figure out why it's wrong. If it is right, then you'll get a thumbs up from me, and I would suggest that you do that before you do the practice problems to know if you're doing it right. So work this problem, send me a quick text, and we will go from there. So you guys have 4 practice problems. on that first sheet for substitution practice. If you will do those 4 problems, they will be part of your grade. If you would like to text me those answers to see if you're doing it right, you're welcome to. If not, it's no big deal.